Aloha and welcome to another video by me, K. Elmer, and this video is a response video. It's a quick and dirty, not a normal video by me video in response to a friend of mine who recently had a baby, and he was asking me what I have done about protecting myself, my child, my family from the negative effects of EMF, which is also known as electrosmog. So I was putting together some, it's easier to show them than it is to try to type it out in a forum or, so forth. So I put together this video to share with him, to just show him, hey, this is what I've done in my own home, and the reasons why and how to approach it. And then as I was putting it together, I really thought, wow, I probably, more than just his family, is interested in just understanding what to do, because it's one thing to have people go, oh, EMF is really bad for you, here's why, but it's another whole thing to go, okay, what do you do about it? And so here's one man's approach towards, protecting myself and my family from EMF. It's just a quick and dirty. I don't get into the details. Everything I'm saying, feel free, just go ahead and use your DuckDuckGo and go and look up the details if you want to know more about all of the topics. I'm just going to go and do a how-to video. This is just going to be very simple. Apologize in advance. It's very informal, not a lot of slides, but I do want to get into a little bit of an introductory. So just right off the bat, for people who are not familiar with the term electrosmog, think about it 200 years ago, right, or 100 years ago, before electricity. People lived in a world where there wasn't any radio frequencies, airport radars, satellite beaming stuff down into your brain. I mean, there was nothing around you from an electrical standpoint except one thing, and that was, well, two things: cosmic energy from space, or wavelengths from space, and then there's also the Earth's own resonance frequency, which is called the Schumann resonance. And so, we've lived for eons, literally as eons and eons of time. The human race has lived in nature, right, and has only been subjected to the wavelengths and the electricity of nature. And then just in the last 100 years, we have been subjected to every possible thing that they could invent, whether it's Wi-Fi or cell phones or satellites or microwaves or you name it. It is just an unbelievable amount of onslaught of electrical pollution, of magnetic pollution, and frequency pollution, and we're not compatible with that as living organisms, and I'll show you why. And so there's a coined phrase now for all of that, just smog. It's a smog of electrical stuff that's just invisible around us, and we live in it every day. For you in the country, hey, good for you, really. If I could move out of here, I would. I live in the city, as you're going to see in the video, and then I have the problems that you have when you live in the city. I live in a building, which is even worse than living in a city. So I just, this is to my buddy Jay, here's to show you what I have done, and I just to explain a little bit further. This is why you should be worried. This is why people are worried about it, because normal electrical frequencies are in the natural, like 1 hertz to 10 hertz. This is natural. This is normal humans. We've been on the planet for millennia. This is where we live, and you can see by the wavelength, there's almost no wavelength. That means as energy passes through us, as biological beings, it's not disruptive to us. But the higher the frequency, the more amplitude, or the more of the closer of the wavelengths get. And this is actually, if you were to put it on an oscilloscope, you would see the wavelengths until you get into this level of energy coming in, and it's just rapidly going up and down. And that is like how a microwave works. We all know how microwaves work, right? You put anything in there with liquid, and it's going to excite the molecules of the liquid, and it's going to cause heat. Well, guess what a cell phone tower does to your brain, which is made out of liquid, right? So this is why it's so dangerous, and the higher you get up here, the worse it is in terms of frequency. And when everyone's talking about 5G. A couple years ago, everybody was talking about smart meters, and that's the world right here that it lives in. Those things live in this world. X-rays, gamma rays, all these kinds of things are in the high-end frequency range of things that are very harmful. And the reasons is, I'm going to just, you can Google as much as you want about this. It's all out there. There's so much data about this, so I don't have to go into it. But bottom line, this is what happens. when you live in concert with nature, okay, it's all producing negative ions. That's why people feel so good when they go to the beach or in a rainstorm or there's lightning. You breathe that fresh air. Well, it's causing negative ions. Negative is electrons. We're good on electrons. What we're not good on is positive ions. And so when you're living in a natural, when you're living in symbiotic with nature, you're getting a lot of really good negative ions. It's good for your body, and you have these in your blood cells and your cellular system. All of it, it's just harmonizing and running at peak optimal performance. But then when you are exposed to positive ions, which are generated by everything from cell phones to smoke to Wi-Fi to car exhaust to satellites to there's all that stuff. Then what happens is it literally will damage our blood cells and our cellular system. So at the literal cellular level, we are being damaged. And it's causing oxidative stress and all these other things. Bottom line, it's not good for us. It's really bad for us. And then what's even worse is if it's happening to you while you're sleeping. Because if you're sleeping, that's the only time your body's actually truly regenerating, right? We regenerate constantly. We're always shedding off old us and creating new us, whether it's your hair, your brain, whatever. We're always replicating. Our cells are replicating. We're constantly replenishing ourselves through regeneration. That's our natural way to just kind of, that's how we exist. And then especially for children, not only do children regenerate at night, that's when they grow. And so if you've ever seen a child that's been, basically deprived of sleep, they'll be stunted. And I've seen that. So it's just bizarre, how it affects children. It's so much worse for children. In fact, one of the absolute worst ideas on the entire planet are baby monitors. I cannot believe that anyone would put a Wi-Fi, antenna right next to the baby's head and just might as well just, yeah, it's bad. So, it's just, I can't emphasize it enough. So enough of that. So anyway, this video, hey, Jay, this is what I've done for myself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just play the video. I want to say thank you for watching. But Jay, this is what I've done. And I'm going to focus on 4 specific things that have affected myself and my family. And that is the fact that, there's cell phone towers, microwave towers, airport is real nearby me, so you've got the radar. And so radio frequency is a major issue where I live. And so I'm going to show you how I dealt with that. Electrical fields, anyone who lives in a home, if you live in a house, there's wiring, and what's that wiring creating? Electrical fields, appliances, anything that plugs into the electricity will create an electrical field. All right, so those things are also not good for you. Magnetic fields, you'll see where there's magnetic fields in your house, and you'll also see and understand the concept of dirty electricity. So those are the 4 things. I mean, I've done a lot more than just these 4 things, but these are the 4 main things. And if you just want to have a place to start, this is where you start. And then after, so once we get into that, but then I just want to say to everybody, if you're going to take this seriously, then you need to first measure, and you'll see me measuring. You measure how bad it is, and depending on where you live, it might not be bad, but you need to measure it first, and then you need to respond accordingly to the measurements, right? That way you don't go crazy. You need to know what you're dealing with. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. So when you're dealing with EMF, your first thing you really need to understand is how bad is it where you live, where you sleep, where okay? And then once you can measure it, then you know what to do with it, okay? And I also want to say, this is not a commercial for lessemf.com, but that's where I buy all my stuff. It is like the superstore for people who are taking EMF shielding seriously, and that's just happened to be, and I've been their customer for over 10 years. I've been doing this quite a long time. So anyway, enough with that. I just want to say thank you for watching, and here's the video. And you know what? Hey, just everybody, I hope that you'll find this as helpful as this is for Jay, but I'm hoping this is why I'm putting it out there into the world, that I'm hoping that it might help other people. So I hope it does. Thank you for watching, and hey, have a great week. All right, aloha. Okay, Jay, this is going to be a little clumsy. I'm just going to bang this out real quick, this meaning video. What I want to show you is that building right there. And you see that? Wow, that's really good for zoom. I didn't know my camera could zoom that well. Yeah, they put those in, like right there. You see those? Yeah, they put those in after I moved in. That's lovely, isn't it? The other buildings don't have them, so they picked the tallest one. and they put in microwave or cell phone antennas about maybe 10 years ago. And at the time, you know, it was no problem at all, but you know, obviously when they put those in, so I immediately felt a difference. It really was weird. I couldn't sleep well, and then all of a sudden I realized what they'd done. So I went ahead and shielded this part of the, I live in a condominium, so I shielded this entire south-facing wall that faces that building at the time, and I'll show you the difference. So how I went about going about it is I went to less EMF, and I bought this Electrosmog meter, and it's just the one that they recommended. And I want to show you something, is that it's measuring the RF that's coming to the wall here. And so it's so simple. It's just green, yellow, red, and obviously anything over green is not good for you. Now there have been times when I've been out here and you can see the thing spike to red, but right now I'm not, you know, it just seems to be just in the yellow. Just a few minutes ago I was out here and it was spiking into the yellow. You can see a little bit of the yellow where it's just getting into the high range. But so right now it's actually not too bad, which was really weird because when I first started really doing this, it was spiking to red. But what I want to point out though, if you can see it, it's a solid yellow right now. And you can see that it spikes up. That's the one thing I didn't realize about cell phone antennas, is that they pulse. They don't just continually broadcast, they're a pulse. So, take you into the house now, and I want to show you the difference. Okay, so now I'm inside the house, and what I did and you can see where it is solid green. There's no spiking to yellow. It is staying in the green, and no matter where I move, it stays that way, because what I want to show is that right here you can see, it's unfortunate that my windows are 2 inches longer, or wider I guess, than the RF shielding window film that less EMF sells. So I just did a crappy, you know, just get it up there because I needed to shield. So I do have 2 inches right there, one on each side, where there is no film on the glass. But just having one, I bought one large roll and I did the entire, back up here, this is like one big window, right? It's like a lanai window. So this entire window is shielded, and then you can see from just that shielding, I dropped it to safe mode. And then so in my bedroom, which is, just forgive the mess, it's just horrible right now. What I did was because the bed is right here, and this is where the dogs and I sleep, and it's, again, sorry for the mess. What I did was I had initially it was a lot higher. I mean, but you can see where it's all green. But when I first did this a few years ago, this thing was spiking yellow, and then all the way over to the corner here, it was spiking red. But you can see where it's really, you can see where all that yellow and all those pulses, they're completely shielded out. And this gray crap here is another form of shielding. It's actually, I liked it. I bought that one because it's adhesive on one side. It's like a wallpaper, adhesive wallpaper. So the way I measured it out was I just basically figured out, like, where's my head, you know, my whole body, where the dogs sleep, you know. And so I put it right there because that's in line. If I were to line up the camera, I'm pointing directly at the microwave towers right now. And so I just kind of like, it's like a shadow, right? So basically you want to get behind the shadow. And so that's what I did. That way when I'm sleeping, or in the bed, when we're all in bed, we're behind the shadow of this film, this is nickel plated or nickel coated adhesive film that's RF. It's a radio frequency shielding. And then the windows themselves, the bedroom windows themselves, also have the window film. It's an RF window film. And so that's how I shielded the south-facing wall against microwave antenna energy, or cell phone RF, electrosmog, death, or whatever. You just bottom line, you just don't want to sleep in a microwave field. Okay, so that's part one. Okay, the next couple of things that you need to think about, especially where your baby sleeps, is not only is there RF frequencies, bad frequencies coming through, and you want to shield the room for where the baby sleeps, and any time the baby spends any place long. There's also another meter that you can get, and I got this off of Amazon. It's called the Trifeld meter. And what this puppy does is it measures electrical fields and it measures magnetic fields. And so you can send this Oh, movie nose, the battery test there. And then, so if I set it to magnetic field, and I'm measuring the magnetic field around where I sleep, or where the baby would sleep, and both Peaches and my bed are not, there's no magnetic field here, as an example. Same thing, there's a double setting, so you can test two different strengths of magnetic field. And then right here is an electric field. And I want to point out something that's, you hear all the folks that talk about EMF, and they're saying, well, don't have your phone charging next to your bed where you sleep. Keep electronic appliances away from you, like electronic clocks, and that's accurate. And also too, just want to point out that on the other side of that stuffed dog toy is an electrical outlet that I've covered with that nickel plating stuff. So you want to be real careful about your electrical outlets, because let me show you what happens if your baby's too close to the electrical outlet. You see, this is where I charge my iPad, and you can see right there, I just put it there for an example, but boom, you can see that there's an electrical field right here next to my head. Not good, right? So this thing doesn't sit there all the time. I'm just there for example. But the reason it's coming in is you see the electrical outlet right there. Look how high that is. And so if that thing is anywhere near your babe or you, you're basically cooking your brains in an electrical field while you sleep, which is the absolute worst time in the world for a child. Because that's when they regenerate. Well, that's when they grow, and that's when we regenerate. So you got to watch out. So I basically, what I do is I basically have this guy tucked up under in here. Let me show you the difference here. So I charge this guy, I put him over here at night, right? And then look what happens to the electrical field. There is none. You see the difference? See what an iPad could do? Just an iPad sitting there charging. But then if I move over here, on the other side of this concrete brick, right? So you can see why there's a brick there. It's also my my Mickey Mouse shelf. Anyway, so electrical fields, big deal. Power outlets, anything that's charging. You may even, I don't even know if you noticed, but I do not have, Okay, so now I'm in the front of my condo, and here's the front door, and here's the absolute idiotic place. And I don't blame them, these guys don't know what to do, and when it comes to EMF, but this is where they put the circuit breaker box. Okay, it's right here. And guess where my daughter's room, or the second bedroom in the unit's right here next to the front door. And this stupid box is right there. So here's the thing, I didn't know this, because when my daughter was little, I didn't know this, and her bed used to be close to this thing, but luckily she was little at the time and refused to sleep alone. So the bed was there, but thank God she never actually slept in the freaking thing. But as she got older, I figured it out. This is her, she's off to college, so I use it for storage, but this is her bedroom. And I want to show you now, I've got the tri-felt, and then this is the other side of the wall, okay? And this is where the other side of the breaker box. So check this out. This is the magnetic field coming off of. I set the tri-felt to magnetic field, and I just want to show you the strength of the field. This is the entire field behind the circuit box. Now think about it this way, if your child's bed or your bed was anywhere near this thing, and this goes the same for smart meters, okay, from an RF standpoint, but this is magnetic now. And then if your head would have been about maybe like what, about a foot away from if this was the head, the headboard was there, and her head would be in a magnetic field the whole time. Your baby would be in a magnetic field, and that's really bad because we are electric beings, and you do not want to sleep in an electric field or a magnetic field. So that's the magnetic field right now, and that's the pulsating electricity causing an electromagnetic effect in the wiring behind this wall, and that's really bad. So now if I walk away, if I step away from the circuit breaker wall, you can see where I positioned her bed now. Or this is where her toddler bed was, and then she's all grown up now. But this is where her bed is now, and you can see where there's just no magnetic field. And then the same thing goes for electric. I'm going to switch the tri-felt to an electrical field. That's set to an electrical field now. And you can see the electrical box is shielded. And there's no electrical field here. Right? Which is just amazing to me. But that's the thing, right? I'm now looking for electric fields. And now there's no electrical field here because, they thought about electricity, but they didn't think about a magnetic field. And there's your third thing to worry about and that's magnetic fields and making sure your baby's not exposed to a magnetic field. And then we're going to number 4. Okay, I'm in my daughter's room still, and now I want to show you the 4th thing to worry about, as if new parents don't have enough to worry about, and that is what is called in the EMF world dirty electricity. And what that means is if you remember anything from science class, electricity is a flow of electrons through wires, and that wire is then carries by an amplitude. The amplitude translates to frequency, and it's supposed to run at around 60 hertz, okay? And the reason that it's I don't even remember, sorry. I don't remember why it's supposed to be 60, but I do know that the health threshold, if you think about frequency, because you got more than just fields, you've got frequency, is that this, you know, like everybody talks about the Schumann resonance, and it depends on who you talk to. It could be anywhere from 7.83 up to 10 and so forth. But there's this natural frequency of the earth, and then other frequencies are healing frequencies like 10 and even 40. But you know, when you get past 50 is very, very unhealthy, and then they've done lots of studies, and I'll just leave it there. So the idea though is that inside of a house, if you are basically inside a bunch of wiring, right? There's wires all around you. And so not only do those wires create electrical fields and magnetic fields, those wires also carry a frequency. Now the frequencies are going to permeate the area that they're in. And so if you're sitting in the middle of a room and the room has got wires all around it, then you're in that frequency, or you're going to be subjected to the frequency. So this is another meter, also sold by Less EMF. And it's called a Steitzer. And so the Steitzer has a meter to measure dirty electricity, or the frequency in your electrical circuits of your home, and then they've got filters to filter it down if it's too high. So these are all unplugged right now because no one's sleeping in here, right? Kids away. So now I'm going to show you how high it is. Now remember, now 60 is what it should be. Anything over 50, you know, or 60, I'm just saying, anything over 60 is just too freaking high, and it's not healthy for you. Definitely not healthy if you're a baby. Okay, so right now I've got a 60. Okay, now it's just picking up, letting the electricity. Okay, when I first did this is really strange. I gotta admit, I haven't done this for a few years, because I did all of this project a long time ago, and I shielded the house and put in filters. Oh, by the way, there's numerous of these things plugged in all around the house. But okay, so now let's just say when I first did this thing registered over 1,000. It freaked me out, and that's why there was 3 for this room. But I haven't done this for a long time, so this is really fascinating. Okay, so now I guess all the other ones I have in the rest of the house, because I started in the bedroom here first, is measuring a little bit above normal. Okay, so it shouldn't be this high, but this is actually not bad compared to how it was before. So it's definitely something to think about, because, you know, just Google dirty electricity. Okay, but the whole idea though is you measure it. Again, you have to measure it, and then if it's too high, like in this case it is too high, I don't want it to be that high, then all you got to do is you take one of these Steitzer filters, and then you would just go ahead and plug it into, and not hopefully, and the minute I plugged in the filter, you could see it dropped. And you can plug in as many filters as you want to get it down to what I would, for me, it's get it below 60. So before I plugged that puppy in, you saw it was like 60, 70, it got up to 90. And now with one filter in there, what happens is, you know, electricity is a circuit, right? It goes into the filter then brings the frequency down, and then the meter now shows that it's at a healthy range. So it only took one filter to bring it down this time. So 2 things I just realized is I need to check more often. I don't need 3 filters anymore, so there should be, you know, do an update every now and then. But also that it is still a little high, and then she's coming home for the holidays. Oh, see, look, it just spiked up. So it's taking a spike right now, which means go add another filter. So let's take this one. Okay, I'm gonna have to unplug this guy. Hold on. Okay, while I was filming this, the thing spiked up to 90, and it's messing with my video. So I add one. It drops it to the 70 range, and then I'm going to add another one, and I barely think I can get to 60. Whoop! It took a spike there right when I plugged it in. Now it needs 2 filters to drop it down to 60-ish. Yeah, and then if I added a third, which I can't because I'm out of ports, it would drop it down to 50. Yep, there you go. So that's the concept. Okay, I gotta mess around with this thing, but that's the general concept of Steitzer filters, is that you bring down the frequency of the electrical frequency in the wiring down to a safer limit, which is 60 or below. All right, that's that for that. So we're back in my room now, and I'm freaking out because my room is registering 500 something hertz instead of 60. 500. You know, when I said I should be doing this more often, yeah, oh crap. I just, yeah, I'm surprised. I did this once, shielded everything, and then I put my meters away until you asked me to, how to, you know, what do I do? And now I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh wow, I should have done this a lot sooner, because now, and this is what's really bizarre, okay? It used to be super high on the other side of the house and low over here. And I do have 2 filters plugged into the house, on this side of the house. But now it looks like the other side of the house is normal and it's super high over here. And I don't know what would cause that. I'm gonna have to look into it, but I'm thinking people plugging in stuff like on the other side of this wall is someone else's bedroom. So yeah, wow, okay, so I'm gonna be plugging in a bunch of Steitzer filters and see if I can get this number down. This is way too high. This is where I sleep. Damn. Okay. Okay, I needed 2 hands to do that, and I plugged in 1 Steitzer filter into the outlet here, and look, damn, boom, straight down to 26, 28. Yeah, so it only took 1 filter. It dropped it from 500, as you just, this is all, you know, this is from showing you as it goes, and now it's down to a safe level. So this is a real wake-up call for me. It means I need to measure every now and then instead of just once, and I need to be checking these things, and yeah, that could explain the reason why I was having trouble sleeping all this time. Crap. Anyway, so I got it to a safe level, which is the good news. And you can see we're just one brought it down from 500 to 25. So there you go. So those are the 4 things that you really need to think about, especially if you have a baby, and then, you know, just for your own general health. But you know, it's RF, radio frequencies, cell phones, 5G, smart meters. That's nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. You need to shield for that. For magnetics, you need to shield for it. Electrical currents, or electricity fields, you need to, you know, move stuff away, or you can shield from that as well. It's very difficult to try to shield from magnetic fields, by the way, so don't even bother. Just stay away from them because they're stationary. Electrical fields can be, you know, moved around by just moving the outlets and things and blocking the outlets on the walls. And then the last part is the dirty electricity in your home, and as I just showed, you could use Steitzer filters and bring that puppy down as well. So I hope this helps you. You know, good health to you and your new baby. Congratulations on the new baby. Hey man, take care of yourselves. Aloha.